Hey everybody, welcome to today's video where I'm going to show you how to change the fuel pump assembly on your Ford Ranger. Alright, so a few things before we get started. You'll notice that I do have the bed off the truck. That is definitely the preferable way to change this. You can also drop the tank, but it complicates things a little bit as far as having to empty the tank and the wiring and hoses as you try to drop the tank to make sure you don't damage anything. Removing the bed is not actually as hard as you think. There's only 6 T55 Torx bolts that hold the bed down, 3 bolts that hold the fuel filler neck onto the bedside, and then there's just a single plug for the harness for the taillights. After you've disconnected all those things, you can just lift the bed straight up and off. Obviously you'll need a buddy to do that, but the bed itself is not that heavy, so 2 people can do it rather easily. So again, I definitely recommend removing the bed to do this. Alright, so on to safety. We are going to be dealing with fuel and fuel vapors, so keep that in mind. So keep any possible ignition sources away from where you're working. I'd also recommend working in a well-ventilated area like I am outside right now. It might also even be a good idea to keep a fire extinguisher handy. This video is mainly covering 1993 to 2011 Rangers. There will be a few little differences in the fuel pump setup between those years though. The later Rangers, I think it was 1998 and on, had a returnless fuel system, which is different than the system here on this 1997. As far as tools, beyond the T55 Torx bit that I mentioned for the bed removal, you also need a 7mm socket for the fuel filler neck bolts. As for the pump removal itself, I highly recommend one of these retainer ring removal tools. It's not absolutely necessary, but it's really going to lessen the chance of you damaging that ring while you take it off and on. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is remove any residual pressure from your fuel lines. And the way we can do that is we disconnect the inertia switch that's located in the front right passenger side of the cab. That's going to be just behind and to the right of where a passenger's feet would be if they're sitting in the passenger side of the truck. So you go ahead and disconnect that plug. What you want to do next then is to go ahead and try to start the truck. It might start. If it does, let it run until it shuts off. That'll ensure any pressure is removed from the lines. After that, I recommend disconnecting your battery for the remainder of the procedure. Alright, so next we're going to disconnect the fuel lines and the plug. I do recommend getting maybe some shop towels or some rags or something like that and putting them underneath of these lines when you take them off, just in case some fuel drips out. Alright, so there's these 2 clips, one on each of the lines. What you need to do is reach underneath with both hands and spread those clips apart, and they'll pull right up like that. And then you can pull the fuel line right off. Just like that. Alright, next we'll go ahead and do the plug. Be gentle with the clips for these plugs. They could be brittle since a lot of these are going to be pretty old by now, so just be careful. Alright, so now that we've done that, we're ready to remove the ring. We're going to use that tool that I recommended earlier. Alright, so now we're ready to go ahead and pull the old pump out. I'd probably recommend having some shop towels handy that you can sort of let any fuel that drips off of the pump drip on as you pull it out. All right, so now we're ready to go ahead and put the new pump in. Don't forget to put the new seal that comes with the new pump. If it doesn't come with one, then you're going to go ahead and buy one. Don't reuse the old seal. That's going to go right into the top of the tank. There's a groove right here. Put that in first, and then we'll go ahead and drop the pump in. All right, so now we're ready to go ahead and hook up the fuel lines, but first my pump came with some new clips for these fuel lines, so I'm going to go ahead and change those out and then I'll plug them in. All right, so we're all set. The rest of this is going to be reverse of taking the bed off. But before you do that, I do highly recommend that you look at other components that are under here, such as the fuel filler neck, to see if any of those need replacing as well. As you can see, my fuel filler neck is brand new because when I did take the bed off, I saw how bad a shape it was, and so I did replace it. And that's very easy to replace while you're already in here. It's just literally a single hose clamp right there with a flathead screwdriver, and you're done. All right, everybody, that's all I have for today's video. I hope it was helpful. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.